Balma. Authorities said the 38-year-old Balma accessed the property by coming over a fence and that he had homemade incendiary devices on him. He spent several minutes on the property evading police before he broke in and set the fire. Cody Balma reportedly planned to beat Governor Josh Shapiro with a hammer. A similar attack took place in 2023 when former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, was struck by a hammer during an attack at his home. The attack comes just hours after news of a February murder case revealed horrific details tying to more political violence. A teenager from Wisconsin has been charged with killing his parents as part of a larger plot to assassinate U.S. President Donald Trump. An FBI probe revealed that 17-year-old called for Trump's assassination and overthrow of the U.S. government in written documents and text messages. And for the latest, our correspondent Susan Teherani has sent us this report from New York.
On the first night of Passover, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's official residence in Harrisburg was the target of a deliberate arson attack. 38-year-old Cody Balma allegedly entered the mansion's fence and then property and set multiple fires before fleeing. Governor Shapiro, his family, his guests, and his dogs were safely evacuated without injury. Balma was apprehended about 12 hours later and then faced the charges including attempted murder, terrorism, as well as aggravated arson. Authorities are investigating the motive behind this attack. Some reports suggesting political or anti-Semitic motives, though nothing has been confirmed. Governor Josh Shapiro condemned the attack as being disturbing and a disturbing trend of political violence. He pledged to continue serving and practicing his Jewish faith with pride. The FBI is aiding this ongoing investigation. Susan Teherani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Canada heads to polls in less than 15 days ahead of the high-stakes election on April 28. A popularity poll has shown Conservatives narrowing the lead that Liberals gained after changing their Prime Minister. Let's take a look at the numbers. The Reuters Ipsos poll shows Conservatives at 36%, Liberals come away ahead at 42%. The NDP is third with 11%. The Bloc Québécois with 6%. The Green Party has 2%, and the others have 1%. However, the Liberal leader has lost some steam, as you can see on this graph, losing 4 percentage points to his Conservative rival Pierre Poilievre, who now stands at 36%. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is at 12%. So these polls were conducted. The latest popularity numbers come just 2 days ahead of a crucial phase in the upcoming election, the debate. Prime Minister candidates for each party will be making an attempt to woo their voters in not one, but 2 televised debates. The first will be held on April 16th in French. The second debate takes place on April 17th in English. One other vertical in the Ipsos poll showed that Mark Carney was the people's favorite as winner of the English debate with 41% approval. When it came to Pierre, for 34%, Canadians said he would outperform Carney in the French debate. Ever since early elections were announced, political discourse has revolved around U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff war on the world, including Canada. Many other domestic issues appear to have been sidelined over the trade standoff with the U.S. It remains to be seen if voter concerns beyond the tariff, such as an existing cost of living crisis, will be touched upon by the contesting leadership. Mr. Dean Baxendale is a global columnist at Sunday Guardian. He is also a political and policy analyst. Mr. Baxendale is now joining us live from Toronto. Mr. Baxendale, thank you very much for making time for us, and it's good to see you again. What are the stakes for Mark and Pierre?
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me on your program to discuss everything Canada, everything Trump for this year's election. I think the stakes, obviously, for Pierre Poilievre are significant. Here's a person, the Conservative Party had a significant lead, not a lead unprecedented, quite frankly, in pre-election polling at 25%. The Liberal vote had collapsed to that of the NDP, and some had them even less than that. However, remarkable what 2 months, a change of leader, and Donald Trump threatening tariffs across the board and targeting Canada as a bad actor on this front, and Mark Carney's fortunes emerge and accelerate to such a level. Once again, we're racing approximately about 35 points almost from that original poll to where we're at today. But now we're getting down to, okay, Donald Trump was pulled back on the tariffs last week. Those are still an issue and are going to be an issue for Canada. Remember, Donald Trump and the administration's war is a war against China and their economic superiority in a number of different areas. But Canada's caught in between. We have been a proxy for China in Canada, ultimately in terms of trade and ultimately in terms of infiltration and influence operations. And Mark Carney is starting to be tarnished with his relationship, the party's relationship with pro-Beijing proxies and factions inside Canada, with two major scandals around the same riding. First with Paul Cheng and now with Mr. Yuan. So these are significant issues that voters are now concentrating on. However, polls suggest that Mark Carney is, Canadians view him as the best to take on Donald Trump and the threat from the United States, and see Pierre Poilievre and his adjacency to Trump-like policies and dogma to be a significant problem at this point in time.
Mr. Dean, very quickly as we wrap this discussion up, the focus now changes to the debate, the upcoming debate, the French debate and the English debate. And there are so many Canadians who are saying that Pierre will defeat Mark in the French debate, and then Mark will defeat Pierre in the English debate. What are Canadians saying about this debate and these three candidates, including Singh?
Yeah, so I mean, I think from Indian television's perspective, Jagmeet Singh, who obviously has had and is being tarnished with his, his adjacency to pro-Khalistani groups inside Canada, is running an interesting campaign. I'd say this is his last campaign because I think the NDP vote is going to collapse. He will try to do his thing, but let's be honest. This is a debate between Pierre and Mark Carney, and I think that Pierre certainly will win in the French debate. The issue there for Pierre and the Liberals, well, actually for Pierre, is that the vote is collapsed for Conservatives. It is collapsed for the Parti Québécois, and that vote is moved towards the Liberals, which allows them potentially to get a majority next time. However, it's why we have debates, and I think that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives will have some surprises during that debate that will catch Carney offside, especially on his relationship with China, his corporate investments with Brookfield. And I think that Canadians will start to see a contrast between the two leaders, and then people can really make the decisions that they need to make when they go to the polls.
All right, let's wait for the April 28th polls and see how things turn out. Dean Baxendale, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.
An update coming in from Germany. Lawmakers will be voting on May 6th to formalize Friedrich Merz as the country's next chancellor. Now, according to reports, Parliament's lower house, or the Bundestag, will vote after Speaker Julia Krockny calls for a session early next month. The vote is a mere formality as the ruling coalition have a majority holding 328 of the 630 seats. The announcement comes days after Merz's Christian Democratic Union and Olaf Scholz's left-leaning Social Democrat Party formally announced a coalition last week. Once the vote is cleared, Merz is expected to be sworn in as post-World War II Germany's 10th chancellor. Born in 1955 in then West Germany, Friedrich Merz studied law and worked as a judge and corporate lawyer before entering politics. Merz began his political journey in the 1980s as a member of the Christian Democratic Union. He was elected to the European Parliament in 1989 and served in the Bundestag from 1994. Merz rose through the ranks to become the parliamentary leader from 2000 to 2002. However, he stepped back from politics in 2009 after Angela Merkel consolidated power within the party. After Merkel announced her retirement in 2018, Merz made a political comeback and eventually became the party leader in 2022 after the CDU's poor election performance.
Wochen und Monate dauert, bis ein neuer Bundestag entscheidungsfähig.
Troubles continue to mount for South Korea's impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol. The ousted leader now faces a criminal trial days after his impeachment was legally validated. Yoon Suk-yeol was in court early in the day for the first hearing in a criminal case accusing him of insurrection in December last year, when the impeached leader briefly declared martial law. During the hearing, Yoon Suk-yeol said that his decision to declare martial law was not a coup attempt. Prosecutors accused Yoon Suk-yeol of attempting to paralyze state institutions, and he did not have legal justification to declare martial law. However, Yoon Suk-yeol's lawyers say that they will continue to argue the legality of the decision in his capacity as president last year.
During this trial, we will fully explain why the president had to declare emergency martial law, which is his constitutional authority. If the legality of the emergency martial law is recognized, as the prosecutors are now seeing this as insurrection, we believe it can be proven that this doesn't have to be regarded as a crime in the first place.
If found guilty of insurrection, Yoon Suk-yeol could face either life imprisonment or get a death sentence. However, South Korea has not executed any convict for decades. The latest legal challenge for Yoon Suk-yeol comes shortly after the country's constitutional court upheld the validity of his impeachment. Yoon Suk-yeol has been at the epicenter of a political crisis ever since December 3rd last year, when the impeached president announced martial law in the country. The decision and its revocation in just hours has deeply divided South Korea's people. For 5 months now, Seoul has witnessed protests against Yoon Suk-yeol and rallies of support. Amid the uncertainty, elections will now be held in June. Supporters of Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa burst into jubilant celebrations as results came in of his winning the vote, as opposition right-wing candidate Luisa Gonzalez rejected the outcome and demanded a recount. Noboa's supporters waved Ecuadorian flags alongside the purple banners of his National Democratic Action Party. With 97% of ballots counted, the incumbent had secured 55.65% of the vote compared to 44.35% for the former congresswoman. Traffic in parts of the capital came to a halt as honking cars and chanting crowds filled the air. Some even carried cardboard cutouts of the re-elected leader. The National Electoral Council stated that the margin marks an irreversible trend, effectively recognizing Noboa's victory. Along with the capital city of Quito, similar scenes were unfolded in Guayaquil, that is Guayaquil, and Noboa's hometown of Olong on the coast. In Olong, Noboa hailed the outcome as a historic achievement. Opposition candidate Luisa Gonzalez says she would not accept the result and has demanded a recount. Addressing her supporters, she claimed the outcome was marred by irregularities and demanded a full recount of the ballots. The margin of victory, more than 1.1 million votes, was significantly larger than suggested by opinion polls, which had indicated a technical tie. Gabon's military leader, General Brice Oligui Nguema, won the country's presidential election yesterday. The military leader seized power in August 2023, ending the nearly 60-year Bongo family rule. Now, according to provisional results released by the Interior Minister, he secured more than 90% of the vote. Oligui Nguema, who consolidated his power after overthrowing President Ali Bongo, faced a field of 8 candidates, including Alain Claude Billy Bainzie, a former prime minister under Bongo's regime. Billy Bainzie, Oligui Nguema's strongest opponent, garnered just 3.02% of the vote. Oligui Nguema's victory now secures him a 7-year mandate. Voter turnout was reported at 70.4%, a significant increase compared to the 56.65% turnout in the August 2023 election that led to the military's takeover. Authorities, along with some independent observers, hailed the election as peaceful and transparent. However, there were complaints of instances of irregularities in the poll process, including delaying in voting at some polling stations and voters unable to find their designated polling stations. Billy Bainzie raised concerns that in certain areas, unmarked ballot papers were not properly secured, fueling fears of potential voter tampering. Oligui Nguema's popularity among many Gabonese stems from a desire to break free from the decades-long dynastic rule, with hopes that his leadership will bring more accountability and reforms to the small, resource-rich nation. And that's the latest on this edition of Race to Power on WION The World is One. Thank you for watching.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate tracker on WION World is One.
Busting the myths around tokenization, catch me on Token Money Magnet, only on WION.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at wion.com.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.